Check, check, check. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the lounge at the end of the universe. My name is Jen. I'm one of the owners here. Oh, hey, there I am. All right. I appreciate everybody coming. I am very sorry. In case you're wondering why we're here, I know Haley very well. She produces a lot of shows here. And I met Moriah this last year while she was doing some political events, and we held some fundraisers for the Bernie Sanders campaign. Yes, we were all very, very excited about it, and so that was my first chance a couple of times to be able to meet and talk with her. If everybody would turn their phones down to silent, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much for that. I've got my order. Haley was just giving her mom some fun razzing, saying that it was her first open mic, so she's making the list and all of that good stuff. And welcome to everybody who's watching virtually as well. We're live streaming for people that couldn't make it into the room. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I need to move it. That's okay. They don't need to see me, but thank you. John is doing all the live stream stuff back there. Lucy is your bartender. So perfect. Thank you very much. All right. Right now we're going to hear from family, and then I believe we'll take a break and have some food, and then there'll be time for others, friends, and extended family to speak. So right now, and also, if you've never spoken into a microphone before, the closer your mouth is to it, the better we'll hear you, because there's either this or there's this. So if you can't hear yourself, just kind of pull your face in closer. I will sanitize the mic in between each person so that you can remove your mask. I have an alcohol spray bottle under there, so you don't have to keep this on unless that's what you would prefer to do. Right now, I would like to welcome Moriah's husband, Ben, to the stage.
I've never talked in front of people before, so I'd like to thank you all for being here and for all the support you gave Moriah and me these past months. I also like to thank the lunch for letting us have this event here. Moriah touched the lives of many, especially mine. When I met Moriah, I was extremely reckless and lost in my life. She didn't try to change me. She just took the time to get to know me, and I got to know her as well, which led me to a different way of thinking, down a different path of living. I knew if I wanted to be her partner, I needed to be the best man I could possibly be. Not because she wanted me to be someone I wasn't, but because it was what she deserved. I could never compete with her ability for caring for people. She was on her own level. I just don't have the fire and drive she had. So I figured that the closest thing I could do is to try and always be there for her, to always support her goals and dreams, to be the man right behind her, and to do everything I could physically, emotionally, and mentally. But mostly physically, since she always told me never to be a motivational speaker. So. She was my fire, my drive, my reason, my desire to be the man I am today. I am not perfect, and I will always have room for improvement. She might not be physically holding my hand to keep me from getting lost in life again, but she has opened my eyes and paved my path so I can walk it with her in my heart. I met Moriah on July 26 in 2014. She introduced herself by interviewing me in Spanish, all those questions you always like to ask. Her intelligence, her beauty, her way of walking tall, strong, and confident made me think that it was too good to be true. That it was just her interest in practicing her Spanish with me, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she had already stolen my heart. I didn't see her again for 3 weeks, and at that time my phone broke and I lost her number. I immediately got a new phone and waited for her text. Since I hadn't replied to her text, I didn't know if she would think I didn't want to talk to her, but after 3 very long days, she finally texted me and she put the biggest smile on my face and the feeling of joy in my heart that I have never felt. I memorized her number that same evening. Our first day was on August 13th, and I knew that day that she was the one I didn't want to lose. She has been giving me the same smile and joy ever since. Throughout the years, we had our ups and downs. A breakup that tore my heart, my heart into pieces. Her melanoma turning to stage 4. That changed her views in life. Our amazing trips to see my family in Mexico. Our wedding, our honeymoon, our plans for the future trips, and just all of our time together. In 6.5 years, she made me the happiest I ever been. I am thankful that I was able to hold her hand and say goodbye. Just wishing that it would have been in 50 years. Holding the hand of the person you love the most in this world and watching her take the last breath without being able to do anything is the hardest and most painful thing I have ever done in my life. We get carried away with our lives, our jobs, our hobbies, our projects, all these material things that we forget to spend more time with loved ones, to fully pay attention to them, to listen to their conversation, to pick up emotional cues. We forget to hold hands, to hug and kiss. All I think about now is wishing I would have spent more time with her, to hold her hand while we slept, to hug her more, to kiss her more often. Thank you, Moriah, for loving me and for being in my life. You are the best wife I could have hoped for. You made me the happiest I've ever been. Thanks.
The top. There we are. Okay, perfect. He's too good. He just muted the mic because he knew he was supposed to. All right. Next, we're going to hear from Leslie, Mariah's aunt.
All right. Can you hear me okay? Hopefully I can see this because I'm an older person and I have to be able to read this in the dark. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Leslie. I'll move that down a little bit. I'm one of Mariah's aunts and Shelly's sister, one of her sisters. Moriah was born in Idaho Falls on January 1st, 1992. Lucky for me, I happened to be going to school at Idaho State University in Pocatello, just 50 miles south of Idaho Falls, so I was there shortly after her birth and spent many weekends with her during her first year. I know I was supposed to be partying and having the time of my life as a college student, but I did live in Pocatello. But what really drew me away from the weekend college life was our little girl, Moriah. She was fantastic. I would head up to Idaho Falls every opportunity I could get. Poor Shelly and Craig, I'm sure they were sick of me, but I just couldn't stay away. She was so alert, sweet, and bright. It was a joy watching her grow, develop, and change. I finished school in December of 1993 and moved back to Boise, so I didn't get my weekly Moriah fix. Fortunately, Shelly and Craig moved back to Boise the summer of 1994, and I got to spend more time with Moriah again. But I had to share her with the rest of my family. Aren't I generous? As Moriah grew older, she continued to be the same alert, attentive, and curious little girl. She was always hinking, That's how she said thinking. And she was hinking all the time, I tell you. And was a quick learner. When she was about 3, she was fascinated with a book on the human body. I thought maybe she would become a doctor someday, but she discovered a love for language when she taught herself to read before even starting kindergarten. She was an organized kid and maybe even considered bossy by some, but bossy wasn't really the right word for her. It was just that she knew what we all should be doing. Moriah was very busy as a teenager and a young adult and had a ton of great experiences, including worldwide travel. I'm thankful that she valued family and decided to settle down in Boise after graduating from college. I was given the opportunity once again to squeeze in time with her by sharing meals, family get-togethers, and holidays. Even though Moriah may have known what we all should be doing, she wasn't mean. She was an especially grateful person and always showed her appreciation and readily expressed her gratitude. She was the queen of thank you notes or texting after having lunch or dinner with you, telling you what a great time she had. She was so thoughtful, and I honestly thought that she was just being respectful of her elders. However, even in her final days, when she was not entirely herself due to her condition or the influence of pain medication, she amazed me with her genuine sweetness. When I would stop to see her, she would thank me profusely for taking the time to visit or offer me a water or a Sprite to drink. I can only hope to be this genuinely kind someday. Watching Moriah grow up was a gift. I knew she was highly intelligent, and I thought she may pick a field of study involving science or facts and more analytical skills. But her love of travel, culture, and languages formed her into the beautiful young lady full of passion and empathy that we all love. Fortunately for all of us, her heart was as extraordinary as her mind. We all agree that she was taken from us painfully too early. But I truly believe that the reason for this will be clear someday. Just as we've been touched by her presence on this earth, we will be blessed by the path God has now set her on. Love you, Moriah, now and always. Thank you.
Thank you for being step-in sound guy, by the way. I really super appreciate that. All right, next we're going to hear from another one of Moriah's aunts, that is Aunt Amy. Allow me to get here. Just being safe.
Those are hard ones to follow. If you aren't aware, I'm Aunt Amy, another sister of Shelley. When Shelley was about 11 or 12, we'd had a date night, dinner and a movie, and we decided afterwards that we would stop in at Shopko and do a little shopping, browsing. She made a beeline for the bras, and all I could think, I was mortified thinking, I didn't even know how to wear one, let alone help her buy one, yet be her first one at that. I kept asking her, if she was sure she didn't want to wait and go with her mom, but she was bound and determined to get one that night. And sure enough, she tried them on and purchased it herself, wouldn't even let me buy it. I mean, this is at such a young age. She was so excited to go home and show her mom, and all I could think of was, Shelley's gonna kill me for letting this happen on my watch. I loved that she entrusted me with many important things in her life, like helping with her wedding and doing her hair for prom. Although, as I recall, she didn't ask me back for the next dance. might had something to do with too much hairspray or something. I admired her independence and tenacity in life. She didn't let the awkward bra shopping or the walls stand in her way. Moriah has taught me to help those in need, to take risks, and enjoy all things in life. I am a better person for knowing her.
That was beautiful, and I do really appreciate that. It makes me remember that aunts are really your first grown-up best friends when you're a little girl, you know? I apologize to everybody on the live stream. I'm sure this noise is extremely weird, but we're just making sure everybody is safe. So we're going to hear from Aunt Diane next.
Thank you. I am Aunt Diane. I'm Shelley's sister also. And I'm with you, Ben. I hate talking in public in front of people, so this is very hard. But I was stressing about it this morning, and I thought of Moriah. And I knew that she would be brave and she would be strong because that's how she is with everything. So I've decided to be like Moriah today and be brave and come up here and speak. First off, I want to thank Shelley and Craig. I didn't have kids. I so appreciate the opportunity from you guys to share the 3 wonderful children that you did have with me. They have added so much to my world and made my life so much better. So thank you for being so generous with all 3 of the wonderful kids that you have. I was thinking about all of the experiences that I was able to have because of you. Things like watching Moriah, learning how to walk, learning how to talk. She was very bright, and she did start early. I remember her fastidiously working on her letters and how she would write them. And if she didn't do her M right or her R right, she was so frustrated, and she would just start over so that she would have it perfect. I used to take her on date nights. We'd go out to certain places, and to her, I had originally bought her all little boy outfits when she was born, to be honest. I was a tomboy, and I thought she too should have little jogging sweatsuits and a baseball mitt and all that kind of stuff. And she didn't want any of it. She thought that was crazy. And as strong in her personality as she is, she wanted her dresses. And so when I would take her on date nights to different plays or Disney on Ice or wherever we were going, she would have her mom call me and insist to make sure several times that I would be arriving in a dress because this was a date night out and we needed to dress. And she always knew exactly what she wanted. We'd get glowing reports from her teachers about how bright she was, what she could do. She sang well, she acted well, she always had fun. It seemed like there was nothing that Moriah couldn't do. Again, all of the experiences that have added, camping trips in the mountains, going to hot springs, watching her and Haley and Abby used to put productions together. We took belly dancing classes together. We had a mutual love of Girl Scout cookies, which we would take them and gorge ourselves, not to tell other people. When she was 14, she asked me to go to Guatemala with her. She was learning Spanish, and she wanted to improve her speaking skills. I was so honored, so we flew down there. On the airport on the way down, I think it was either Houston or Dallas, she was struggling with working on a math puzzle. It was a Sudoku. And she had been working on it for an hour or so and couldn't get the numbers put together. And I was like, hey, let me take a look. And she handed it to me. And I'm sitting there, and I started just filling in all the blanks and handed it back to her about 5 minutes later. And she just looked at me. She was just incensed that I had figured this thing out. And she went on and on about it for months, how I had figured that puzzle. I finally couldn't stand it anymore, and I had to tell her, I said, did you ever do the math? Because none of them added up. I just put the numbers in there. You don't make Moriah mad. Shortly after that, she got me back. I had started dating Ron, my husband, and we came over for a family barbecue. And she was all excited about this new computer thing that she had figured out, that you ask the universe a question and you type it in and it would provide you an answer back. Ask Peter, or Peter answers, something like this, for the rest of you that got hooked in on this too. We went up there and she was asking questions like, what kind of car did Ron own? And it came back a white Jeep. And what does this? And the right answer came back. And she was like, are Ron and Diane soulmates? And it came back, forever and ever. We were so giddy and silly. We bought her hook, line, and sinker. I think I went home for like 2 weeks trying to get that dang computer program to work for me before I figured out that it was a total hoax and it was Moriah just making up the answers. So don't make her mad. She'd get you back. I loved our time in Guatemala together. I had her to myself. We did walks around the compound at night. We climbed volcanoes. We climbed ancient pyramids. We did zip lining. We danced salsa. She always just wanted to grab and do everything. It was just so wonderful to have that time with her. Years later, when she graduated, she went to Georgetown. And Ron had a conference, so we went to DC to spend some time. I wanted to see her new world. I got to watch her row down the Potomac with the Skull Crew. I got to meet her friends. We went to the restaurants on K Street, had a great time. I remember walking her back at her dorms, and I was like, let me walk you over. We'll say goodnight. And she's like, no, I got it. You go ahead and go to your hotel. And I was like, no, really, let me walk you to your dorm. I want to make sure you're okay. And she was like, no, I'm good. I'm okay. And Ron literally had to kind of pull me away. And I just sat there with tears rolling down my cheeks because I realized this is the first time she was a grown-up and she was strong enough to go do things on her own. After she graduated, she went to China. I was fortunate enough to be able to go over, Ron and I, and spend some time with her there. She had been really sick with a sinus infection. And so when we got there, she really wasn't up to doing tourist things or going out, but it was okay. We just laid on her bed and I played with her hair and heard her stories about what she had been doing in China. It was just so good to be there. And I hope that I was able to give her enough love when I was there that she felt a little bit better. She was truly that person who added so much to your life. She brought me peanut M&Ms when I broke my ankle because she knows those are my favorites. A couple of years ago, she made me a photo album and had my whole family write a letter to me so that I would have something to cherish forever. She always took the time to be with me. She returned my text. She'd talk to me on the phone. She made me feel important in her life. I was so grateful that she came back to Boise to live and call home. I was thrilled when she brought Ben to our life. And I'm grateful for the wedding last year, as I really felt like it pulled us all together, where we had some extra time to celebrate the love that you two had. It was amazing to watch the happiness and the goals that you guys desired. When I was writing all this stuff, what I realized is I kept thinking these were all the things that we did together. To quote Maya Angelou, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. Moriah made me feel so cherished and valued and loved. I hope that I can carry that tradition with me and show that to other people in my world going forward. I love you, Mo. Thank you.
I just want to say to everybody, the family, I've known Haley for several years, and just in the last little while, getting to meet everybody, I love and appreciate how much care and attention you pay between one another and the way that you speak about one another. I appreciate very much. Craig is coming to say some words next. That's Mariah's dad. Show him some encouragement.
Happy birthday, Moriah. Well, everyone, I got to tell you, first off, I super struggled with this. I couldn't even sit down for 2 minutes to try to write anything because I didn't think there was anything I could say that would match what this woman, what this girl meant to me. And so please forgive me, because this would probably be the worst speech I'll ever give, because I can't remember a darn thing. I can't see either. So thank you all for coming to celebrate the life of my precious Moriah Lenhart-Wees. It's a tragedy that we are here today to lose such a precious person to a disease that we can't change, at least not yet. But I'm going to run through a few fun stories and talk a little bit about her character, maybe your characters too. And I can't wait to hear more of the stories from you. And I've already heard a few that I'm really excited about. And so, but I want to start here with the Serenity Prayer that's been adopted by the Alcoholics Anonymous, saying, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Doesn't really sound like that, but anyway. I have to tell you that I struggled a lot. What do I talk about? You know, am I going to talk about the pain and the frustration that we went through this last few years as she's battled with the cancer, or do I talk about the good things? Of course, I want to talk about the good things. And the cancer thing we can leave out for now. But I want to narrow this down to just 3 things, and that's compassion, comedy, and cerebral. And they all start with C, so it's easier for me to remember. So anyway, compassion. Now, all of us as kids have said, that's not fair, including Moriah a few times. But in general, Moriah never stopped saying, that's not fair. But not for a selfish reason. It's because she cared for everybody. She cared for everybody. She wanted everybody to be treated equally. She didn't just stop at her own personal thing. She wasn't just self-focused like a lot of us, right? That she was compassionate. And she was never embarrassed about not having the very best, right? She went to Savers to get clothes. I think that was something that we did when we were struggling, right? We had to go and buy used clothes. And she was never, ever embarrassed about what she was wearing. It was all she strived for was to have enough and no more. And Moriah knew how to stretch $1. She obviously picked this trade up from Shelley, because Shelley can stretch $1 to fit where a $20 bill used to be. And Moriah didn't want a new car, not even a fancy car. She wanted one that was practical and reliable, so she drove what? A Toyota Yaris. One time I was on a business trip, and they said, well, we only got one car left here, and it's a Yaris. I said, well, I got to drive, so I'll take it. And I swear it had rubber bands for the engine. But Moriah loved that car, and I noticed it out in the parking lot. So, oh, is it an Echo? Well, it's just like a Yaris. They're pieces of crap. But fortunately, she was married to a guy who could fix anything. So it worked out really well, didn't it, Ben? You know, I thought when she graduated from Georgetown that she would be on the fast track to high wages, you know, making some big bucks. And that she would outgrow her altruistic ways. Boy, was I wrong. Now, she did come back from college, and she got a job with ClickBank, and she told me how much she made, and I'm like, bingo, we're right on there, you know. And I was thinking, she's going to be rich. But she kept telling me that she didn't really like the job all that well, you know, because it was very capitalistic and making a profit. And so she saved up enough money. She paid off her student loans, and then she had enough for a trip to go to South America, and she quit her job. I'm like, you quit a job making $70,000 a year, you know, whatever it was. Yep, and she was determined. That was it. And when she came back, she didn't have a job, so she volunteered and she helped people out, right? She was very compassionate, and she helped immigrants that came to town, and she'd help them find a house and a job and where to go to school and where to buy their food, and she drove them around. She did the exact same thing when she worked for the Confucius Center, that she picked up the new professors and she would take them around and help them find a house and help them buy a car. And Ben was there too, and the whole thing was volunteer because the University of Idaho was not paying her for any of that. So she just loved people. And it doesn't matter who you were. I mean, you could be a dog that needed a home, and she would be 100% in trying to find. I mean, I don't know how many times she called me and said, do you need another dog? No, Moriah, I don't. Well, you know, when she was going to Georgetown, she noticed that some of the language used by the lunch ladies wasn't very good, wasn't good English. So on her own time, she would go back and tutor some of those students or some of those cafeteria workers, helping them learn English, which was amazing. She also worked for Language Stars, where she taught people who had English, had Spanish or Chinese or Japanese, I think, and helped them learn English. It was pretty amazing. Jesus said, love one another. As I have loved you, you must also love one another. I guess that's a way of saying pay it forward. And Moriah always paid and paid. Now, Moriah didn't necessarily always claim to be a Christian, but she had an open mind to goodness in general and lived that life that Jesus encouraged us to take. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and everyone who humbles himself will be exalted. Dear Lord, please exalt Moriah. Anyway, comedy. All right, sorry, finally, second one. You know, Haley's been into comedy from the very beginning, and she's always been Moriah was always a supporter of Haley in everything that she did, right? She was there in every show and laughing at the jokes, and oh boy, did she have a laugh that you could hear, right? Again, she took after her mother. But she always brought a smile and a chuckle to everyone. And Moriah was not vain. She was competitive. And maybe this is comedic because we always loved this, but she loved to win. And then when she won, she would rub it in. And 12 years ago when Koch and I got together, she brought a tradition, a German tradition, where you hide a pickle on the Christmas tree, and you got to find it. And I think somewhere in these pictures you'll see her holding up a pickle like this, right? And it's because she seemed to always find the pickle. I don't know what it was about her, but she had like pickle radar. And it frustrated the heck out of Haley, didn't it, Haley? Yeah. But well, we didn't have Christmas this year. We decided to skip it. But next year, we're doing the pickle again in honor of Moriah. On New Year's Eve, we had other traditions too, and it was a lot of fun. And it was very comedic. We would do Fear Factor, and I would make things for the kids to eat and dare them to. And we had a backyard that was full of dog poop, and they had to close their eyes and walk through it. It was snowing hard one New Year's Eve, and they had to run out to Cloverdale, a really busy street, in their swimsuits and wave at cars. It was fun, and they all did it. And then, one of the things we did too is we did a scavenger hunt. Right now, we'd start with just a pickle, not a pickle, but a quarter or a marble or something, right? And they split it into two teams, and then they had to go out and get the biggest thing they could come back with. Mariah's so competitive. Did she get the wheelchair? Yeah, I don't know. Well, anyway, you keep trading. You go house to house, and you get something bigger and something bigger and something bigger. And these kids, they had so much fun. And they came back, and we ended up with a wheelchair that was in our house for years, or a big bead thing. I mean, a big kit like this that you could make beaded necklaces and things like that. It was just so much fun, and she loved it. I think she thrived on that kind of stuff, and she encouraged everybody else. And so everybody was just as excited because of Mariah's enthusiasm. And, you know, you want to talk about comedy. So in the past few years, Moriah would come over to my mom's house, Grandma Judy's house, and we would watch Dancing with the Stars. And we'd rate the dancers and see who would win. And Moriah loved to win and often did. I don't know if she won more than anybody else, but she was pretty good. One time I was on a trip, a business trip, and I was in a different time zone, and I looked up all the winners in advance, and I texted them to Moriah, who aced that one. And she laughed so hard when she had to tell everybody that she cheated. But it was pretty darn fun, I have to tell you. It was good. So, and no one loves an April Fool's joke more than Moriah. She was good at that. And as kids, we used to have snakes, rubber snakes, and we'd hide them in beds. And Moriah just loved doing that too. She was funny. Now, cerebral, finally the third C. You know, everybody knows that she was a brainiac, you know, a smart kid, smarty pants. But she was really humble about it too. She was invited into the GATE program, I think, in 2nd grade, and then she moved on to the magnet program in 5th grade. She skipped 8th grade, and so on and so forth. It's a story that went on and on and on. And so it never surprised you when she came home with A's on her report card. In fact, I don't think she ever had a B in high school, not once. Well, she did on a quarter grade, but not on a semester grade. Anyway, but beyond school, she just loved to learn anything. And when Ben came into her life, she got to learn a whole bunch of new things she'd never known before. Mountain climbing. I couldn't believe she was going to go climb with ropes and helmets and all that stuff. And I'm like, it scared me to pieces. But Ben was a good leader, and he loved her so much that there was nothing that would ever harm her. He made sure that she was perfect. And it was interesting that Gail just told me recently that in a brain scan that Moriah had towards the end is that her brain was fully utilized, that she was storing stuff in places that most of us never even go to. So that brain was full because she knew there was empty space and she was going to fill it. She seized the day. She seized the day. So this brings me to hopefully my final story, but when she was a kid, she said, "Dad, can I get a tattoo?" And I said, "No, not until you're 18. So after her 18th birthday, she went out and got a tattoo, and it said, "Seize the day," right above her ankle. And I thought, well, if you have to get a tattoo, that's a pretty good one, you know, seize the day. Carpe diem. Oh, it said carpe diem. That's what it said, not seize the day. Sorry, interpreting. Well, yesterday, 13 of us went and got a tattoo. And mine's right here, Carpe Diem, written in her handwriting. And it has some of her ashes in the ink. And so I always felt proud that Moriah had a little bit of me in her, but now I've got a little bit of her in me to always be there. I'm not done. I know you're trying to get me off the stage, and I can see Moriah going. Come on, guys. I want to give you, I wanted to tell you a really strange thing. So I was looking up cerebral on dictionary.com this morning. You know, obviously cerebral wasn't something I had, but Moriah certainly did. But I encourage any of you right now to go look at www.dictionary.com, because every day they have a word of the day. And today, that word is carpe diem. I love you guys. I love you, Moriah.
Thank you. Haley, after hearing some of those childhood stories, so many things make so much more sense to me than they used to, because you're the person who I know the most in the room. And you are incredibly funny. So when it comes to comedy, I mean, if you haven't seen this woman before, you should. She's so talented, and somebody that I feel honored to call my friend. We're going to hear from Haley.
I am proud to bring you these today because of Moriah Lenhart-Wees. She was brave enough to bring the first boob shirt home when she was 13 or so, yeah, right? Ross, man, dress for less. She made fun of me one time because I got a maternity shirt at Ross. I was like, fuck you, this is the only thing that fits, you know? Like, and so I made that a joke. She's always been, I don't know, a very good speaker. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really glad that she brought the boob shirt home. You know what was funny though? It was like Moriah wore it and Mom's like, no, you will not leave the house. You will not leave the house. And then she got used to it, and then I put it on. She's like, oh no. Sorry, I have bigger boobs than my sister. I was simply blessed with the breast, not the brain. We all get our strengths, okay, guys? She went around our house and put Spanish subtitles on everything so I could kind of learn. Did I? No. It was around our house every day, and all I know is El Reloj, you know? So, I have to be proud of what I have. Moriah did love pranks. I don't know. She got me really good one time. She made me think I killed my dog. Good one. It was really funny. Grandpa Pat had made paella, and I took all the shells and made a little structure because I'm creative, and put it on the table. And then I went to a movie with my friends, and I was driving to go pick up my friend, and Moriah called me sobbing. She's like, Haley, Snickers ate the shells. And I was like, what? He ate the shells and now he's puking up blood. I was like, what? She's like, oh my God, I gotta go, and hung up. I called back and she answered again. She's like, I can't, Haley. And then Kyle got on the phone. Oh God. And hung up again. I called back a third time. It rang and rang and rang. And then Mom picked it up. Hello? Mom, how's Snickers? What? He's fine. He's not puking up blood? No, why would you think that? She made me think I killed my dog. That's some fucking dark humor, you know? Like, everyone made fun of my dark humor. Hers was darker. One time I pranked her. It was back when she was in high school, and she was dropping me off at school every day at Fairmont, how I did with Kyle. And she loved this boy in French class. I don't even remember his name. Okay, Michael. But But she loved him mostly because he could speak French better than the rest of the class. I think that was it. So they could speak French together. And he was going to be gone for Valentine's Day, and she was so sad about that. So I went and bought Ghirardelli chocolates, which were her favorites, and I wrote a very nice note in French using Google Translate. Thank you. You don't need to know everything. You just need to know how to use the internet, okay? But I gave it to her on the way or before school or whatever, and he's like, oh yeah, he dropped it off before he left or whatever. And she's like, you didn't tell me? And she's like, so excited. And then we were driving all the way to school, and I was like, now, should I be mean and just let her go to school and act like she has a love of her life, or should I tell her now? And I told her then, because I didn't want to embarrass her, but she was so mad. Oh, so mad. I think that's why later she decided to do the kill my dog joke. I don't know which one's worse, though. You know, the dog one, right? Okay, it was worse. But even though she's been such a supporter of my life, my whole life, when she went off to college, I went and visited her for like a week, and she took me all around and showed me all around, and we ate Indian food. I think that was like the first time I had Indian food. I really like it now. But I showed up, it was summer, and I hadn't finished my online speech program. So she had to get like all of her friends to come listen to my speech on the couch and videotape it. And I was like, wow, this is so great. And I had to finish writing it. And so I just like, what the point is like, she's always had to be kind of like a mom to me a little bit, because I don't function as others do. I had a boyfriend once who would send me poop emojis just to know he was alive. And so we adapted that habit, and she would just, our Facebook Messenger, instead of the thumbs up, it was a little poop emoji, so we just sent really big poops or little low poops. Just a bunch of shit back and forth to each other. It was really nice. I miss those poops. And that's why Peter's answers was so funny. She got you, she got Amy, she got my dad. She's like, oh, we can't use this. This is my dad. Oh, we can't use this for evil, guys. We can't ask how long we're going to live. We can't ask about the universe because this is going to change everything. My mom was the only one smart enough to catch on. I know. Well, she called to like find out, because we're like, okay, let's see what mom's doing. And she's like, okay, hold on, but like I have to go to the bathroom, and like let's like take a break so we don't like get too amped up on it. She'd go call my mom, figure out what she's doing, and then type it in, and then we like, I bet that's right. And we call mom back, and she's like, yes, I am doing that, but Moriah just called me 15 minutes ago. Mom, you don't understand. We gotta go. You know, we're so dumb. We are so dumb, and she is so much smarter than us, and I guess it might have been fun to fuck with us like that. Moriah was practically perfect, or so she would think. Ooh, burn! She wanted to be roasted. She did. She's mostly perfect, except for the fact that she did win most arguments or games or whatever, but I won once. One time I won. I don't remember. All I remember is like I used logic in this argument we were having, and then she was just like, oh. And I was like, just because you make weird faces doesn't mean you win. She would just, seriously, she's just like, what? That doesn't win an argument, but it kind of did. I don't know. I love her for so many reasons. She's supported me my whole life. You probably see a lot of pictures of like her coming to my plays, and even when she was in Washington, D.C., and she's like, hey, my sister's has written a play, and go see it at Capitol High. And she always advertised for me. And then I started a monthly comedy show called Comic of the Month, and dude, that shit wouldn't have started off if she hadn't packed the room with all of her friends like the first 2 months. So we got good pictures of people in seats, and I was like, yes, so my sister just paid my rent with her friendships. It was really nice. And then she actually became a judge on Comic of the Month. She was too nice. Weird for her. No, she actually got really nice at the later part. She was mean as a kid. She would make me go. She would. Well, I was dumb too, but like it was hurtful because she would be crafting upstairs, doing nice things for other people, and then she'd be like, "Haley," because I lived downstairs. "Haley, come here." And so I'd run upstairs, and she's like, "What? Can you go get the scissors from the kitchen sink?" I'd go get them. I'd go get them, and I'd come back. And then she's like, "Oh, can you go get the tape? I need the tape." And I'd go run back down there. I was her goddamn dog for so long. She taught me how not to be gullible anymore and how to stand up for myself, I guess. I don't know. I do remember some people picking on me at school one time, and she kicked their asses. She's like, "That's my job, you know." She's a good sister. Yeah, but for Comic of the Month, she was very nice, and even though some comics you'll see tonight, they sound like poetry, stand-up poetry people rather than comedy, she just gives them nice compliments like, "Oh, you're a very excellent poet," or I don't know, rather than I don't know. She liked her favorites, and then she was very nice to people no matter what, but she was like the nice judge. So. I wish I had spent more time with her at the end because I wasn't quite ready. And I kind of just thought she was super strong and would never die because she kept trying to die my whole life. Like one of my birthdays in Mexico, she got stung by a damn scorpion. I was like, "Are you kidding me? You can't die on my birthday." Like, and she didn't, thank God. And then a couple years later, she went on a rafting trip, and she called me after it, and she's like, "I thought I almost died on this rafting trip." And like for somebody, I was like, "Could you just not? Could you just like calm down with these?" So anyways, I thought she was invincible. And so we decided this last year, my brother and I, we made a video for the I-48 competition. I didn't read the rules, so we did a 14-minute long video when it should have been 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So we're above and beyond overachievers. She starred and helped write the play, or the movie. It was good stuff, very dark, good stuff. I guess I'm just like, I'm happy that she always made time. I was kind of mad at her because like she came home from college and then still knew how to cook and provide for like Thanksgiving dinners and stuff. And I was like, overachiever, stop, I'm not gonna be this functional, stop. But I'm so glad that she was because she's always kind of been taking care of me in certain ways. Like, she used to be my alcohol dealer before I was old enough to get it myself. I would text her what I wanted, and then she's like, "Well, if you can't spell tequila, I don't think you should get it." She's too smart. You don't need to just, anyways, she's very funny. One of my favorite memories of her and with Kyle is we always go get pie shakes when she's in town or when Kyle's in town. And so if you don't know what a pie shake is, it's a pie in a shake with a really big straw so you can get the clumps out. They're very good. Only sold at Sherry's, which she hated Sherry's. She hated the service. She thought they were poor and not good at it. I think one of the big things I'm going to miss most is my dad's cards, and every year he would take my face and her face and cut them in half and put them together, and they looked like the same because we look pretty similar, and I was always thought to be the older sister, and now I really hate that I might be one day. So just love the ones you're with. Just love the ones you're with. Okay, bye.
Would you guys welcome Kyle, Haley, and Mariah's brother to the stage?
Way to end it, Haley. Okay. Sorry, I have to recompose myself a little bit. So, well, we'll get to that. Moriah explicitly wanted us to all do the chicken dance, so I hope you're all ready to do the whatever. All right. So, I'm my father's son, so please bear with me, as this speech might go on for too long, but I honestly don't feel too bad now at this point, listening to a few different speeches. My dad's not that unique. But if you would so desire, get a refreshment, take your drinks. But thank you all for coming so much. I appreciate it so much. It means so much to me that there's so much love out there and support for her and for her whole entire family. So, Moriah was such a special person. She was kind, intelligent, funny, caring, wise, passionate. Leave a few adjectives for the rest of us, please. Jeez. She was my sister, but often, as Haley has said, acted more like a mom, always making sure everyone was all right and making you feel a little guilty for doing something stupid. She was one of my closest friends, a person that I could spend hours talking to and not even notice that the time was slipping away. Some of my favorite memories are when my sisters and I would go get milkshakes together. We apparently think along similar lines. And just laugh. And finally, she was my role model and mentor. I always went to her for advice if I was ever struggling with anything. She had a way of making you feel comfortable and safe enough to share that, and she would just pry just enough to get whatever it was out of you. She taught me so much, and I can't express how grateful I am to have been able to spend so much time with her throughout my life, and especially in these last few months. So, I felt like every semester of my college experience, I'd have a similar call with Mo. I'd call her up just to catch up, see what's going on since I left home a couple weeks ago, and I, of course, would start to complain to her about how difficult my classes seemed this year, and that I'm not sure how well I'll be able to handle everything. Her advice was always the same. So you think I would have listened by now, but I'm trying. But she told me, you have to take care of yourself, drop a class if that would make things easier. Overworking yourself in the short term and burning out has much longer term consequences than having to wait another semester to take a class that you might want. And I remember thinking to myself, well, that's great and all, but how am I supposed to get these 2 majors done if I'm dropping classes all the time? But she, of course, was right, and she often convinced me to take it a little bit easier on myself, drop the occasional class or extracurricular activity, and I never regretted it. Moriah understood that it is essential for all of us to show empathy and compassion, not only for others, but also to ourselves. I know that in my family, and I'm sure we're not all that unique in this way, but I feel there's a second pandemic going on of going and telling others to take care of themselves while we go home and look in the mirror and ask, why am I not enough? Why can't I do more to help my family, my community? Why can't I fix what is wrong with me? We need to listen to our own advice and actually take care of ourselves. Many people have come up to me and thanked me for helping out Moriah so much this last year. They say, you've been amazing, and they commend me on the sacrifices I made, giving up finding a job or earning money, but I never saw it that way. If someone offers to let you spend all day, every day with one of your best friends, you don't have to go to work, you don't have to pay for housing or food, you'd be a fool to turn that down, okay? So it was an easy choice to go move in with Moriah when she got her diagnosis earlier this year. And for as great of an opportunity as that sounds, I was surprised to find it was even better than I initially thought. If you've ever talked to Moriah, she's probably told you to take care of yourself. Living in her home and living with her, that message gets drilled in. As you wash your hands in the bathroom, you stare yourself in the mirror, and right there to the side of your face, there's two self-care checklists reminding you to prioritize yourself. It includes the quintessential Mo advice to drink more water. That was, okay. Literally, if I had any problem as a kid, she would say, "Did you drink water today?" And I'd be like, "Yeah," but I didn't. But she always said, "Drink more water." So that's why I put that there. Anyways, along with the advice to drink more water, there's other less important ones like get enough sleep, move your body, and make time for joy, etc., etc. Then, as I walk out of the bathroom and into my room, I am surrounded by more sage advice. I inherited much of the decoration in my room, but I wouldn't change a thing. I have a bright, colorful sign telling me that I am loved up on my wall. I am surrounded by pictures of my family, helping me remember all the fun and good times. She also has her 2019 New Year's resolution up on the wall. She didn't write down, go to the gym, or start a diet. Rather, she tells herself to love, without reservation, recklessly, and when it might be easier to fight. She also puts down to practice gratitude and grace, regardless of what life throws at you, and to fight for something greater than yourself. Moriah convinced me that I was worthy of love and to show compassion to myself. This year I spent with Moriah, I had an opportunity to focus on myself without expectations of school or starting a career weighing on me. She convinced me to go to counseling, something I had run away from for years, to eat better and to exercise, to spend some time doing hobbies that I actually enjoy, like reading and practicing languages and talking to friends, and to find my meaning in life. I'm not saying I found it yet, but I'm looking. And from taking care of myself, the other stuff, the caring and helping others, comes naturally. Not out of a sense of obligation, but a realization that we're all connected and support each other. I hope you all can find some time to be compassionate with yourselves. Don't demand perfection. Growth takes time, and be grateful for the progress that you can make every day. Because Moriah, that was her whole thing. Always growing, never, super compassionate. And if this year has taught us anything, it is that we should let go of expectations of what the future is supposed to be. That attachment will only hurt us more as we are constantly let down by the reality of the world. There are many things beyond our reach as humans, and I couldn't stop the disruption of my senior year of college, and I could not prevent my sister from passing away. What I do have a little control over is how I respond to the world around me. It is easy to react instantaneously and unthinkingly. But slowing down, being in the moment, things become a little easier to handle. I can appreciate what I do have. I still have an incredible group of family and friends that are so loving and supportive. There are moments of incredible beauty and rarity everywhere, every day. Find those and embrace those moments. The pain that I feel from Mariah's loss does not make me want to run away from life. She inspires me to continue to look for more beauty and love in the world, to be healthy, and to fight to make my community better. When I was younger, and really not that much younger than I am now, probably only a couple of years ago, whenever I would hear someone tell me to be thankful for my life, I just kind of brushed it off. Yeah, I'm lucky to be alive and to have people that love me, whatever. We all know these things. It is hard to feel grateful when we are always looking ahead to the things we feel we must accomplish. It is hard to feel grateful when someone is telling you to be grateful, like it is expected of you as a good person. But as Moriah has shown me, when you take care of yourself and let go of expectations of what will be or what should be, you begin to appreciate all the things around you that you never had before. Gratefulness and love are innate in this world. You don't need to strive to find it. You just need to open yourself up and realize it is everywhere. Moriah may be gone, but I will cherish the time that I got to spend with her, the laughter that we shared, the dumb jokes and tricks I would try to pull on her, the tough conversations and tears that we shed, even the screaming matches in the car that would leave all the other passengers silent. And I'm grateful for every second I got with her. And though I miss her so incredibly deeply, it will not stop me from loving life and going on. The only reason there is so much pain in her loss is because there was so much love. That love is not gone and never will be. There's been much grief over the loss of Moriah, understandably so. It is common to want to run away and hide from pain. We try to distract ourselves, pretend we haven't experienced any loss. I'm pretty good at this one. YouTube and Netflix can eat up an entire day, and hey, look at that. I didn't think about my pain once. Sometimes we become consumed by our grief, letting it take over. We stop eating, we stop sleeping, or we lay in bed all day, whatever. Here we have another lesson we can learn from Mo. It is time to turn into our pain, not away. Be with it, feel the pain, but understand that love is underneath it all. I felt the fear. I felt the loss. And I felt the regret. And the hopelessness. I wouldn't say that I particularly like those feelings, but turning away from them does not make them go away, no matter how much we may want them to. So be brave and face life directly. Moriah was one of the bravest people I know. It's not that she had no fear. There were plenty of things that terrified her. And she didn't, she just always challenged herself to face them head on. She didn't run away, and she didn't cower when things were tough. She pushed ahead. It is her bravery that drove her to indelibly inscribe the words Carpe Diem on her ankle when her entire family questioned the sanity of permanently marking her body with a tattoo. Ironically, most of them now have a tattoo with that same word on them. It was her bravery that allowed her to navigate and explore Beijing despite being alone and young in such an enormous and unfamiliar city. It was her bravery that first got her to go rock climbing, undaunted by the heights. And it was her bravery that made her live life to the fullest in spite of facing an incredibly aggressive and scary cancer. We should be brave in the face of our fears and love life just as she did, living it to the fullest. Moriah was inspiring with the good she brought to the world. Rarely is there an individual that cares so much about others' well-being. If you talk to her, I'm sure it was plain to see how she felt the pain of others when they were sick, hurting, or hungry. I'm sure if she could get rid of it all with the snap of her fingers, she would do it in a heartbeat. But just because that wasn't possible did not mean she gave up in hopelessness. Moriah is proof of the fact that you don't need to do extraordinary things to have a profound and lasting effect and impact on this world. She improved people's lives simply by caring enough to take the time to listen. She connected with people, made them feel heard, made them feel valued. We get caught up in thinking what we are doing isn't valuable unless it's extraordinary. But the reality is, caring for others, being thoughtful and kind, though seemingly simple, is what makes life precious. We don't need to sit around hoping a perfect opportunity makes an appearance. Moriah volunteered an hour or two of her time to causes that she believed in. She made time for her family and friends, and she brightened countless lives. Right now is always the perfect time. And finally, to end, I want to say thank you to Ben, who could not have loved Moriah more. You talked about how much she helped you and made you better, but you should know that it was definitely a two-way street. You were her strength, you pacified her when she tended towards anger, and you showed her love and helped her enjoy life so much more. I'm grateful to my mother, who took on so much in the last few months to take care of both Moriah and I, and to my entire family and to each and every one of you. I'm so grateful for all the love and support you have shown. You've made a difference in Moriah's life and in my own. I hope to be able to show you all the same kindness whenever you are in need. Thank you. Love you guys.
Okay, we're going to hear from Moriah's grandfather, Pat.
Hello. This, by contrast, is going to be a very short little snippet from Moriah's life. But it happened one day when Moriah was over visiting us at our house that, okay, thank you, at our house, and she came up to me and she says, "Grandpa, I want to really thank you." I said, "Well, for what, Moriah? I don't know what I've done to deserve that." Well, she said, "I want to thank you for taking me to that Spanish class that we both went to." And I said, "Well, no problem." Well, anyway, I want to tell you that when Moriah was young, like 6 or 7, she was trying to make up languages. She was writing out things, and she would talk with her sisters and friends in this made-up language. She always had an affinity for that. And so I knew when she was about 14 that I should invite her to go to this class that I was going to take, because I've studied Spanish for 50 years. My God, I should be really good, but I'm not. Anyway, well, I says, "Well, that's fine, but why do you want to thank me?" He says, "Well, without that Spanish class that we took for a year or so, I would never have met Ben. This gave me something to communicate with Ben, and that formed a relationship, and I found the love of my life. So I want to thank you, Grandpa." So that's my story.
All right, we're going to hear from Shelly. This is Mariah's mom.
Actually, Moriah was my mom.
Okay. That seems to be a common theme with a lot of people.
Yeah, Moriah was my mother, I'm sure, in past lives. And she probably finally decided maybe she'd done enough raising me that she could come down and be my daughter. But she still had to do a lot for me. And I'm not going to dwell on a lot of that because that's for my therapist. But I want to say thank you to all of you for being here and for the love that you showed Moriah and my other family members. Thank you to Jen and the universe at the end of the universe. The lounge at the end of the universe. I appreciate you letting us host this today, and I appreciate everyone being here. I appreciate that Moriah has so many great friends and family, and I am grateful that I got to be her mom, and I'm grateful that Haley and Kyle and Moriah had such a great bond. I am so fortunate that I have 3 sisters that I feel so connected to, and I know that's kind of rare. You don't always get that, and I'm grateful that my kids had that together. And I was maybe the 3rd oldest person at the tattoo parlor the other day. And like Craig said, we have a little bit of Moriah in us now. And I put it here where I could see it because I'm having trouble sometimes, carpe diem, but, and I love what Kyle said about, I just need to remember it's making progress. It's not perfection. That little girl was so freaking amazing. I'm blessed to have 3 amazing kids, and I've worked with a lot of families in the last year or so. And I realize how challenging life can be, and this is one of the biggest challenges that I've gone through, and I'm an old woman, and I'm blessed to have had a good life, and I need to value that a little more than I've been doing. So, anyway, I'm going to keep this short because I was busy working on 3,700 photos, and not all of them are even going in the right direction sometimes, so, but we're not doing perfection, right? And I left my reading glasses down there, so anyway. Thank you. I want to show you something, and you can't see it super well, but this is probably from 2007. Moriah was probably a sophomore or a junior in high school when she put this up in her room, which still looks very much like a room, even though I've turned it into a messy office. This is a bucket list from, I think, the Wall Street Journal. She might have gotten from her father's house, because I don't read the Wall Street Journal, barely know how to read. But it's a bucket list of things you should do before you die. And she didn't get to too many of them yet, because she was young at that point. One of them said, quit smoking, and she checked that box right there and then. But anyway, that young lady, since forever, has always been so vibrant and so full of life, and I'm so grateful. I could kind of remember when I was holding her for the first time in the hospital, saying, this young lady's gonna teach me so much, and man, she did, but I'm a fucking slow learner, so I'm gonna last a long time, and I've got carpet diem on my arm to remind me that my mother is my daughter, is gonna keep an eye on me. And I'm gonna say this, I have this angel book that I have some cards, and I shuffle them 7 times, and I don't know why, that's how much I shuffle them whenever I want to get an answer out of something. I said, what do I need to know today, universe? Well, I drew the child card, and one of the little things in the child card was, I go, oh yeah, a child is on my mind today. That is for sure. Happy birthday, Moriah. And it said a child up in heaven is sending you love. And so anyway, I miss her. I wanted to call her when I was putting the slideshow together multiple times and ask her some questions about some of the photos. She won't fucking answer the phone. I need to say that I'm so grateful to all of you, my family. You guys, thank you. This wouldn't even have gone on today because I'm one of those people who would probably just lay in bed. I'm not going to get dark because we don't need to do the chicken dance because there's one more speaker and then you can eat. But I love that little girl. I love Haley and Kyle, and I love all of you. I love you all. I think there's one more thing I wanted to say. I really just jotted this down because I'm not very good at stuff. Oh, she told us a while back, all of us to get counseling. And Kyle and I were joking about talking politics to our counselor, and she's like, what the fuck, you guys got bigger issues than talking politics? But I love that about her. She was an activist. She was amazing. And she gave me a gift, and I hope that I can go forward in her name and do good stuff because she's so amazing. I'm so blessed to have known her. And I can tell by all the photos that I did that she really embraced life, and I'm grateful she was a part of our family and that she found true love. Oh my God, am I grateful for Ben. He's amazing. Ben, I'm sorry, you don't get rid of me because I'm 0.9 miles away, and I'm going to not try to drive you crazy, but I love you so much, and I love your family. You have a beautiful family, and I'm glad they're my family now, too. And you know what? I've been around for 56 years in a few days, and I know that love is precious, and she found really, really good love from Ben, and I'm so grateful she had that. I'm so grateful. And anyway, I'm so grateful she had so many friends, and she didn't live a long life, but she lived a very full life. And thank you all for being here, and I'm going to quit talking because I don't have anything more to say anyway, but pretty soon you get to eat. One more speaker. I love you all.
All right, you got a tough act to follow, Uncle Ron. So, good to know. All right, here's Uncle.
Hi, this is Ron. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mariah's favorite uncle. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Joel's out there. Sorry, Joel. I think I passed you a few months ago at your mom's birthday gathering. You know, some people thought that maybe it was because she was not, her brain cells weren't working as well. But I think she probably has the most clarity at that point that I've ever seen her. So I want to thank all of you again for being here. There's so much love and family and very close friends that we're able to be here today. And I just wanted to, dwell a little bit on the event, the celebration of life, and how important that is to all of us as we grieve, as we cry, as we laugh today. And that is part of the grieving process, and it's very, very important. And we can grieve individually, separately, alone, and that definitely has its time. But we don't often get an opportunity to grieve and celebrate a life as this event has provided for us. So I guess I wanted to just recognize that this is a very important time period in all of our lives, and to embrace that, and to make sure that we don't, it's not a time to stop grieving, because the grieving will continue. But it's an important moment in that grieving process. And I'm so glad that I got an opportunity to be here, and all of you had an opportunity to be here as well. Did anybody else have a hard time reading? Because it's not very light up. It's either the tears in my eyes or bad eyes now, I suppose. I think Shelley mentioned the political activism, and I noticed that as well. 12 years ago, I guess, when Obama was running for president and became the president. During that campaign, she was out there as a 16-year-old on the corner, with the signs to encourage people to vote. She couldn't vote, but she wanted to, everybody else to get out there and vote. So that was a pretty cool thing for someone, at her age to be doing that, to be involved, and to know that that was so important. The other thing I wanted to bring up was the job that she was at for the last year or 2 years. I don't remember now how long it was, but at the Idaho Law Center. And I actually was familiar with that role because I used to, in a former career, I was a nonprofit director in which I was helping a lot of refugees and other disadvantaged people to gain access to the legal advice that the pro bono attorneys in the Valley were able to provide. And for a lot of people, that was a great way for them to either solve some personal or some business dilemmas that they were facing. And so I think that was just so telling of Moriah, as we've heard this afternoon and evening, how much she gave to others that were less fortunate than her. And coincidentally, I guess, during the GoFundMe campaign, which raised nearly $50,000, and what did it start out as a goal, Diane? As a few $1,000s or something as the goal, and of course it went to almost 50. Anyway, one of the donors is Lisa Sanchez, who is a Boise City Councilwoman, and she did not know Moriah, but she donated to the GoFundMe, and she had been in that same position. She was Moriah's predecessor in that same position, so she knew Moriah's position very well. She didn't get an opportunity to ever meet her, but that was, her donation, as well as so many others, as I read through some in the GoFundMe, was just so much. It just amazed me. I could die tomorrow, and there might be like 3 people that show up, at this event, and maybe $1.50 that would show up in a GoFundMe campaign for me. So anyway, that was just an awesome experience, I guess, I had in that. And if you'll indulge me, since I'm the last speaker, I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a I don't know what it's called. It's almost like a Black Lives Matter. So Haley will understand this very well, and others of you who've been active in that. But one of the things that I was told as a story from Diane, because I came into the picture, about 14 years ago, that when Moriah was young, she had the nickname, of Moriah Jones. So Jones this, Jones that. And evidently she fully believed her name was Moriah Jones. So when she went on to school, the teacher was like, well, Moriah Lenhart-Wees, and then she was I'm Moriah Jones. And the teacher, of course, corrected Moriah, and Moriah was like dumbfounded because she knew her name was Moriah Jones. So she came home and was just baffled and very distraught by the fact that her parents lied to her, that her name was truly not Moriah Jones, it was Moriah Lenhart-Wees. Anyway, what I would like to do is just kind of honor her in a way. So I'm going to say her name as Moriah Jones. So what I would ask of you is to kind of mirror my amplitude as I say her name a few times. So I would ask you to repeat it back. So I'm going to say, Moriah Jones, and I'm going to just ask you, say her name. Moriah Jones. Moriah Jones. Moriah Jones. Moriah Jones. Moriah Jones. Moriah Jones. Love you, Moriah.
All right, everybody. I would like to invite you to please share some food and hopefully a lot of hugs. We'll put some music back on and take a meal break. If anybody didn't speak that would like to, after we're done having some food, there'll be another opportunity if there's some words you want to say.
Doesn't know what I'm talking about. Who's never left home, who's never struck out to find a dream and a life of their own. A place in the clouds, a foundation of stone. Many precede and many will follow. A young girl's dreams no longer hollow. It takes the shape of a place out west, but what it holds for her, she hasn't yet guessed. She needs wide open spaces, room to make a big mistake. She needs new faces. She knows the highest stakes. She traveled this road as a child, wide-eyed and grinning, she never tired. But now she won't be coming back with the rest. If these are life's lessons, she'll take this test. She needs wide open spaces, room to make a big mistake. She needs new faces. She knows the highest stakes. She knows the highest stakes. As her folks drive away, her dad yells, "Check the oil." Mom stares out the window and says, "I'm leaving my girl." She said it didn't seem like that long ago when she stood there and let her own folks know.
Wake up, little Susie, wake up. We've both been sound asleep. Wake up, little Susie, and weep. The movie's over, it's 4 o'clock, and we're in trouble deep. Wake up, little Susie, wake up, little Susie. Well, what are we gonna tell your mama? What are we gonna tell your papa? What am I gonna tell our friends when they say, ooh la la, wake up, little Susie, wake up, little Susie. Well, I told your mama that you'd be in by 10. Well, Susie, baby, looks like we goofed again. Wake up, little Susie, wake up, little Susie. We gotta go home. Wake up, little Susie, wake up. Wake up, little Susie, wake up. The movie wasn't so hot, it didn't have much of a plot. We fell asleep, our goose is cooked, our reputation is shot. Wake up, little Susie, wake up, little Susie. Well, what are we gonna tell your mama? What are we gonna tell your papa? What are we gonna tell our friends when they say, ooh la la, wake up, little Susie, wake up, little Susie, wake up, little Susie.
Said I was in my early 40s with a lot of life before me, when a moment came that stopped me on a dime. I spent most of the next days looking at the x-rays, talking about the options and talking about sweet time. I asked him when it sank in that this might really be the real end. How's it hit you when you get that kind of news? Man, what'd you do? And he said, I went skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing, I went 2.7 seconds on a bull named Blue Manchu, and I loved deeper, and I spoke sweeter, and I gave forgiveness I've been denying. And he said, someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying. He said I was finally the husband that most of the time I wasn't, and I became a friend would like to have. And all of a sudden going fishing wasn't such an imposition, and I went 3 times that year. I lost my dad. Well, I finally read the good book, and I took a good long hard look at what I'd do if I could do it all again. And then I went skydiving, I went Rocky Mountain climbing, I went 2.7 seconds on a bull named Blue Manchu, and I loved deeper, and I spoke sweeter, and I gave forgiveness I've been denying. And he said, someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying. Like tomorrow was a gift, and you got eternity to think about what you do with
listen, baby. Ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby.
If you need me, call me. No matter where you are, no matter how far.
Don't worry, baby.
Just call my name. I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry. Oh, baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby.
Remember the day I set you free? I told you you could always count on me, darling. From that day on, I made a vow I'll be there when you want me, some way, somehow. Oh, baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby. Oh, no, darling.
No wind, no rain, or winter cold can stop me, baby.
No, no, baby.
'Cause you are
If
my
you're ever in
love.
trouble, I'll be there on the double. Just send for me, oh, baby.
My love is alive, way down in my heart, although we are miles apart.
If you ever need a helping hand, I'll be there on the double, just as fast as I can. Don't you know that there ain't no mountain high enough? Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough.
Keep me from getting to you, babe. Don't you know that there
Ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough. Ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no.
Where are you this moment?
Well, it's 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready. Now go, cat, go, but don't you step on my blue suede shoe. You can do anything but lay off of my blue suede shoe. Well, you can knock me down, step in my face, slander my name all over the place, and do anything that you wanna do. But honey, lay off of my shoes and don't you step on my blue suede shoe. You can do anything but lay off of my blue suede shoe. Oh, let's go, cat. Burn my house, steal my car, drink my liquor from my old fruit jar, and do anything that you wanna do. But honey, lay off of them shoes and don't you step on my blue suede shoe. You can do anything but lay off of my blue suede shoe. Right. Well, it's 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready. Now go, cat, go, but don't you step on my blue suede shoe. You can do anything but lay off of my blue suede shoe. Well, it's blue, blue, blue suede shoe. Blue, blue, blue suede shoe. Yeah, blue, blue, blue suede shoe, baby. Blue, blue, blue suede shoe. You can do anything but lay off of my blue suede shoe.
stop your crying, it will be alright. Just take my hand, hold it tight. I will protect you from all around you. I will be here, don't you cry. For one so small, you seem so strong. My arms will hold you, keep you safe and warm. This bond between us can't be broken. I will be here, don't you cry. 'Cause you'll be in my heart. Yes, you'll be in my heart. From this day on, now and forevermore. You'll be in my heart. No matter what they say, you'll be here in my heart always. Why can't they understand the way we feel? They just don't trust what they can't explain. I know we're different, but deep inside us, we're not that different at all. And you'll be in my heart. Yes, you'll be in my heart. From this day on, now and forevermore. Don't listen to them, 'cause what do they know? We need each other to have to hold. They'll see in time. I know when destiny calls you, you must be strong. I may not be with you, but you got to hold on. They'll see in time. I know we'll show them together, 'cause you'll be in my heart. Believe me, you'll be in my heart. I'll be there from this day on, now and forevermore. Ooh, you'll be in my heart. You'll be here in my heart always. I'll be with you, be here in my heart. I'll be there always. Always. I'll be with you. But I'll be there for you always. Always and always. Just look over your shoulder. Just look over your shoulder. Just look over your shoulder.
It's this thing. I know how to work a microphone. Hi guys, I just want to let you know we do have pictures over in that far room if you want to like go look at those, and if you wanted to write a little story about Moriah, we have some stuff that you can like some paper that you can write on it and cut it out and put it in that if you'd like to do that. Also